Good evening. And a beautiful evening it is. Go Vikes. I've got the recorder on. My name is Kevin Derhaag. I'm 70 years old. I'm retired. I'm a golfer and pickleball player. You got to keep moving. And thank goodness my ulcerative colitis didn't show up while I was working, because I don't know how you could possibly work with that disease. It controls your life. It certainly altered my life. But in the fall of 2020, I knew I needed some help with some ongoing digestive and bowel symptoms. So I scheduled a colonoscopy. Doctor did it, came back. You have ulcerative colitis. Great. He referred me to a gastroenterologist. Remember 2020, COVID? Yeah. So, because of COVID, my visits with my doctor were virtual. I actually never saw him. It was all FaceTime. We discussed the treatment plan. He did a blood test, discovered I had latent tuberculosis, so the first thing he did is put me on a 9-month course of antibiotics. Yeah, isn't that great? So, and that's to prepare you in case they have to be treated with immunosuppressive drugs in the future. Well, during that 9-month regimen, my ulcerative colitis continued to get worse. Doctor recommended we try some oral immunosuppressives. Well, that didn't work. Pretty soon, he said, well, let's try these infusions with Inflectra. I'm sure you've seen the commercials on TV for Inflectra and some of the other drugs that they like to use. Well, after 4 infusions, my health continued to decline. I wasn't getting better, I was getting worse. My quality of life had eroded to a point, and like many people I've spoken to this evening, you couldn't hardly leave the house. You go into a store, the first thing you do, where's the restroom? Playing golf, playing pickleball, wasn't an option. Clearly, the Inflectra was not helping, and a conversation with the gastroenterologist recommended I consider scheduling surgery. Remove your colon. We're going to give you a colostomy bag. No, we're not going there. Not doing that. At this point, a year had passed. It was January of 2022. It had been months since I slept through the night. It was not unusual to get up 10, 15, 17, 18 times every night. I was sleeping in the next room because I didn't want to disturb Jessica, ruin her sleep. I had lost 50 pounds, and I was emotionally and physically completely worn down. I also have peripheral artery disease. So I have a lifelong relationship with a vascular doctor who's Dr. Joseph Karam from Abbott Northwestern, a phenomenal doctor. I have stint in my leg, plugged up with a blood clot while playing pickleball. I knew that because it had happened, that's what you feel, is you feel this fire in your calf, and you just know. So I called him, I ended up at Abbott. He took one look at me and he goes, my God, man, what happened to you? So Jessica talked to him and said, do you know anybody that Kevin can see, because this is getting worse, it's not getting better. Now, I'd been through 2 different forms of infusions. They had talked about removing my colon. He says, let me check. He called me the next day. He said, I got a friend of mine at the University of Minnesota, and he's got a friend I want you to go see. His name's Dr. Byron Vaughn. I went and saw Dr. Vaughn. My nightmare ended at the University of Minnesota. Once I was enrolled in the FMT study, my path to declining health turned to a path of recovery. It was almost instant. 1 year ago this month, last September 1st, I started the FMT study with Dr. Vaughn, Sharon, Lulu, all the staff at the University of Minnesota. the results were almost instantaneous. Within 30 days, I was feeling better. By the end of the 3-month trial, my system was almost back to normal. In April of this year, Dr. Vaughn, who left for Uganda for a year, wanted to perform a colonoscopy because he had done other procedures and looked at my colon. The results of the colonoscopy, I don't have UC anymore. It's gone. Thank God. And I will forever be grateful to Dr. Vaughn, Sharon, Lulu, the entire staff at the University of Minnesota and the clinical study program. I'm living proof it works. Thank you.